into it. Hey, welcome back to Suzerain, or Suzerain. Again, I probably should look up how to actually say it. How are we liking the game so far? I enjoy it. I do like these kind of like story-based games. I was actually thinking if we want to play at some point, what is it, Pentiment, the Obsidian game. But I don't know. That there's also like the other game. I have another game which is like it's the French Revolution one. We the King. Viva the Revolution. I don't remember what it's called. There's a couple other games I think are kind of in the same genre that I think also could be fun to play at some point. I just don't know when we would get around to it. So, last time we were all the way over in Narbel. We've gotten some workers some wage increases. Good for them. We love that for them. But now we got a stability order. An investigation on the influence of the Young Swords and the Red Youth organizations on the post-assassination arrest has concluded. Both organizations haven't officially organized or called for illegal actions, but several low to mid-level leaders from both have links to insightful actions that led to deaths, injuries, and instability. This will allow us to ban the organizations. You know what? Let's just ban both. Why not? Okay, so human rights has gotten worse. We got our stability decree. The Red Youth and the Young Swords are both banned. We'll see how that goes. What's going on in the news? The administration announced a ban on Young Swords and the Red Youth. Effective immediately, the administration has announced a ban on anti-government organizations, the Young Swords, and the Red Youth as a response to the recent escalated political tension. The ban also states that it is strictly illegal and forbidden to carry symbols, clothing, or anything that can cause the person to be identified as a Young Sword or a Red Youth member. Any person who does not abide by the new law will be risking at least a 2-year sentence, depending on the severity of the crime. NFP leader Kerso Kibner and the PFJP leader Franz Richter have strongly opposed the ban. And political freedoms restricted. 2 of the most popular and symbolic political youth organizations have now been banned by the president of Sordland. The news came out of nowhere when the administration made an official announcement blaming the instability, deaths, and violence caused in the past months on both organizations, who have just been stripped of their rights to operate by the Ministry of the Interior. The leaders of both organizations have made a joint statement against the decision and said that even though their beliefs are different, their rights to express their political opinions shouldn't be taken away. It's a rare sight to see 2 sides of the political spectrum come together, as President Rayne is receiving criticisms about restricting the freedom of political expression. Okay. And policies, which we just looked at. Is there actually more policies? Yes, okay. These 2 parties have been banned. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I mean, okay, stability has hit the red line. That is probably bad, but it's... Okay, we're in danger right now. Okay. This is for the economy. The green has been proposed by the Assembly, aiming to encourage a more sustainable approach to the industries of Gruni. Section 1 of the Act would impose stricter regulations on industrial pollution and waste disposal, particularly in the Gruni region. Businesses not complying with these new standards may face hefty fines, revenue from which will be used to be invested back into environmental recovery projects. Section 2 proposes to offer tax breaks to businesses that can demonstrate a significant reduction in their environmental impact over a period of time. Small investment fund is created for eco-friendly business. It's going to cost us 1 government budget. I think we will sign that. We're going to go into the negatives, but I don't think it's actually that bad. Look, just don't worry about the red line, okay? Like, the economy isn't real. We already have 0 budget. Like, okay, you got to spend money to make money. That's where we're at right now, okay? Investment in Gruni. And what's going on in the news? The Green Act's been signed. President Anton Rayne signing on the Green Act into law has been met with skepticism. While the intent behind the act, promoting sustainability and environmental responsibility, is admirable, there are concerns that it might place an undue burden on businesses, potentially hindering economic growth. The legislation could also have significant impacts on the local industry, and its long-term effects remain to be seen. Okay. The President Rayne's decision to sign the Green Act into law marks a significant victory for environmentalists across the nation. By imposing stricter regulations on industrial pollution and waste disposal, particularly in Gruni, the act brings the promise of cleaner and healthier surroundings. With provisions for tax breaks for businesses that demonstrate a significant reduction in their environmental impact and fines for non-compliance. This act shows that we can balance economic progress with environmental responsibility. Today, Sordland stands as a beacon of hope for sustainable practice in industry, setting an example for the rest of the world to follow. Okay. So we have the operation. Upon receiving the order, thousands of police officers conducted cease and desist operations against the Red Youth and Young Swords organizations. Our forces closed hundreds of organizational offices and affiliated businesses around the country. Additionally, judges who have given orders to block all bank accounts and to freeze all assets. Thousands of peaceful protests from members of each organization were forcibly dispersed. 2 separate shootouts, one in Jen and another in Lakehaven, have lightly wounded 5 officers who are being treated in hospital. Most of the organizational capacity of both entities have ceased, but cleanup operations will continue. All remaining elements resisting the order are now to be considered as violating the law and are being arrested. Okay. I was walking to my office. Since today was a day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to the change of the Constitution of Sordland. The Reform Committee finally bore tangible results, and a draft for the changes were about to be presented to me. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decision that I was going to take. At the entrance of my office, my secretary Livia greeted me. "Good morning, Mr. President." "Good morning, Livia. How are you today, sir?" I'm perfectly fine." We can just lie to her. It's good to hear. She paused for taking my coat. It looked like she had something on her mind. "Mr. Rayne, can you give me a hint about your reform plans? If you ask me, taking away the judge immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of the people in the halls." Nothing's been decided yet. We'll keep her on the hush hush for now. I hope you'll keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. Livia left to hang up my coat. I entered my office and sat down. Not long after, Peter, Lucy, and Nia arrived. "Good morning, everybody." "Good morning, Mr. President." "Good morning." Time to finally get the proposal going. Peter placed the draft in front of me. After any modifications, we'll be starting with the process. Okay, let's go over what are each of the points we'll be discussing here today. Well, apart from the first 2 sections of decreasing the Supreme Court's authority and limiting the presidential vetoes, nothing else has been agreed on unanimously. We could start about Section 3. This is about the impeachment process of the president. Currently, in case of high treason and breaking the Constitution, the Supreme Court may impeach and try the president. Most reformists want the impeachment to be initiated by the Assembly. They think they do not have any power over potential rogue presidents that want to abuse their power. Okay. We'll give the Assembly some oversight. I think that seems okay. This law is particularly dangerous for you in this case. We'll be going against the old guard, and if we prove to be successful in this assembly, they will be looking for anything that can declare unconstitutional to tackle you. All they need is the Supreme Court to impeach you. Okay. We should define a better process. Yeah, let's define a better impeachment process. Yes, we'll be collaborating, working on the specifics. Section 4. This is regarding the appointment of ministers. Currently, the president is free to appoint anyone from the members of the assembly. Nobody else is involved in the process. There's definitely demand to involve the assembly in the process. We could do a confidence vote. Yeah, well, I think confidence vote seems okay. I'm sure the reformists could completely support that. The 5th section is about our infamous electoral threshold. Most reformists want to lower the threshold as much as possible. Mr. Victor and the PFJP definitely want to see changes on this topic. They find our 10% threshold to be anti-democratic, which is something I also agree with. Yes, but this is a delicate matter. The party, and I mean not even Alabin wants to change the threshold. They think that this would destroy our party in the long term. They're not wrong. 10% threshold is what has allowed us to control half the assembly, with around 1/3 of the majority in the elections. Okay. We definitely work to decrease the threshold. Why storage policy becomes so isolated? I mean, it could hurt the party. I mean, it definitely will hurt the party, for sure. But I mean, let's thing is, we need our party to support it. I think this is a national matter, Mr. Rayne, not a partisan one. It is a matter of both when we have the Communist Party and the Workers' Party of Blodia getting more than 5% in the vote in the last election. Decreasing this threshold might mean opening their way into the Assembly. Of course, that would also mean that the USP might lose the majority in the Assembly, sir. Don't worry, with these reforms will be even more popular. Yeah, I mean, we'll be popular, right? Hope it works out, Mr. President. Lucy continued on to the next section. Section 6. This is about the presidential decrees. Reformers demand more limitations to president's executive powers. Make the victor has demanded them to be removed completely. I have suggested to bring some limitations to decrees regarding their applicability while we keep them. We should try to make sure that they only will be used in emergency situations. We could also make it dependent on the enabling acts from the Assembly. Sure, it would make the whole process longer, but as long as we have a majority, nothing really changes. Is this my first run? No, I played this game 5 years ago. Back in 2020 when it first came out. Okay, can I take the straw out of this cup? And just drink it? How do I take the straw out? Oh, that's not what I want. Oh. Okay, it's fine for now. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna. Okay. Do we need to reform the presidential decrees? You know, we'll keep the decrees as is. Me neither. I think it's important that the president can act quickly in matters of national importance. The next one is Section 7, term limits. I mean, what are we talking about here? They want us to include previously non-existing term limits. We can't allow somebody like Sol holding on to a seat for 2 decades again. We should establish some limits. Hey, if the people keep electing one person, that means they really are content. The masses are scared of change. Even Sol knew he had to leave, but we will leave it to the president to decide. Yes, I agree. People should be able to elect the same person if they really want to. Now, I'll move on to the 8th section. We're reaching the end. This is a question about the immunity of the judges. While the anti-old guard sentiment is increasing, there are talks about taking away their immunity, and it would give us authority over the judiciary. I do not support taking away their power for yourself, Mr. President. Judiciary must be independent and long-lasting. While I agree that that the current court members are problematic, there's no way to resolve it. The law is supposed to ensure the judiciary's independence by giving legal protection so they can't be pressured. Well, they need absolute immunity in theory, but look at what has really gotten us. Got to deal with the most corrupt chief justice in the world, with no chance to deal with them. What do we have like a 2/3 majority on the like a 2/3 majority on impeachment? They should be impeached. You know what? Let's not make enemies with the Supreme Court just yet. Let's keep the reforms light. It's a better strategy. We'll need to sway some of their members to succeed after all. And the last one is the question about Sol's legacy. Basically, his member of honor law. It gave him absolute immunity even when he's retired. He's a permanent member of the Assembly as well. But luckily, he doesn't really attend anymore. According to the Constitution, the member of the honor not only has legal immunity, but the state also covers most of their expenses as well, providing security at all times. It could only be given to someone by the absolute majority vote in the Assembly and the approval of the President. That's why only Tarkin Sol has the title. He gave it to himself right after his military coup. This law is basically made to save the Colonel, and it has symbolic importance for Sordland because of it. We must get rid of this senseless law that protects him. He should be able to face justice for the atrocity that had taken place during his rule. The thing is, the one thing about this law, as far as I'm aware, is that our party really likes it. And again, we need... Our party has majority. I think we need like two-thirds, but... Respect it. We can keep the title but take away the immunity clause. Every president should get the title. We might have to respect it, because again, we need our party. Do you want to protect Tarkin Sol, Mr. President? He's a hero for Sordland. Regardless of him, I see no problem with having such a title for great heroes. Well, regardless of what Mr. Rayne decides, we'll need to work together to push his agenda. Okay, let's start working on the draft. After placing the committee's report and my own notes in front of me, I buried myself in the papers. Okay. According to Sections 72 and 82, the President may veto the bill by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The articles do not contain any information on how to override a veto. As a consequence, the President has an absolute veto power that cannot be even overridden with a supermajority in the Grand Assembly of Sordland. You know what? We can have, I think, a 3/5 majority. I think that seems fairly reasonable. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, an amendment that has the support of at least 150 signatures may be proposed to the Grand National Assembly. A 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for the amendment. As a consequence, the Supreme Court, which is not part of the elective legislative branch, has voting rights that give them enormous power in the amendment process. Okay, we'll remove their voting rights. That's literally the only option I have here. According to Article 17, the President of Sordland is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of presidential duties, except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such cases, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in joint session, with an absolute majority of its members. Therefore, the impeachment process only includes the Supreme Court, and it gives them great power over the executive. Don't change. President may not be impeached. Or... So they both have majority. I think this seems okay. Okay, the appointment of ministers. According to the Constitution, the President appoints the ministers of the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. We may introduce the confidence vote by adding the line, the President may nominate members, which will require a confidence vote from the Grand National Assembly for their appointment, or include the Assembly with more of the process with, the Grand National Assembly may nominate a list of ministers from which the President may appoint. So it's basically whether or not I choose or that the Assembly chooses for me. I think the confidence vote I choose, and then they can vote on that. I think that seems okay. According to the Article 50, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. The votes of the parties who pass this threshold are redistributed proportionally, meaning the USP, which currently holds the lead, would be the main beneficiary. Decreasing the threshold may allow the Workers' Party of Blodia and the Communist Party of Sordland to be elected in the next election. I think like a 2% decrease. I think it gets one of them in, but one of them stays out. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. But I think 8%, you know, it's a decent middle ground there. President's decrees. According to Article 1851, the President is able to issue decrees on political, social, and economic issues that would carry the force of law. They could not contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. Therefore, the President may issue decrees in many subjects without going through the Grand National Assembly. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on the same subjects to override presidential decrees. We may include the Assembly in the process by requiring an enabling act from the Assembly to be able to enact decrees or remove them completely, making the Assembly the sole lawmaking authority. I'm not going to change it. We're going to keep decrees here and term limits. According to the Constitution, the President shall be elected to serve for 4 years. However, there is no mention of a term limit, allowing one individual to be able to run, be elected, and serve as President without limits. We're not going to change this one either. And immunity of justices. The Constitution gives the justices of the Supreme Court absolute immunity before the law, and describes no procedure for impeachment, making them untouchable by other branches of the government. We may describe an impeachment procedure by giving the Grand National Assembly the right to propose an impeachment of a justice on illegal grounds of unconstitutional behavior. Again, we kind of need a Supreme Court on our side, at least a little bit, so we're not going to change this right now. Article 99 of the Constitution defines the Member of Honor title, and the rights that their members may exercise. A Member of Honor has absolute immunity, and is considered to be a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. They are given control of their own personal security team, provided by the state's presidential guards. A member is also eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only person who holds this title is Tarkin Sol. And remove immunity, abolish the title. We'll keep the title, but maybe we'll remove the immunity from this. I think that seems okay. After I made the final changes proposal, I showed it to my team. They read the changes and discussed it among themselves. Lucien spoke afterwards. It looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. But I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not fond of the idea. That's true. It'll be tough to get all of their support. Some of our members might try to openly fight against this. I'll be prepared to reconsider if it comes to that. We'll all do our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? I don't think I have any problems with the changes. Me neither. It looks like we can proceed immediately. I will personally work on the wording of this proposal with my hand-picked legal experts. With Ms. Morgana's reputation as the most experienced attorney, the proposal will be bulletproof. She just also will have a hard time convincing others to oppose it. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. You'll need to get them back to back us if we want to pass the assembly. Sir, I advise you first talk to leaders of both the conservative and the reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports the reforms already. Mrs. Tory will be the real problem. She's really become a heavyweight after we left the executive. You got any advice for dealing with them? As Mr. Victorian said, Mr. Clavin will probably be easier to persuade. We need to unite the party under this, so his support is vital. Mrs. Glory will be tougher to break. The problem is that she is capable of turning the moderates and the conservatives against us. As much as I don't want to say this, if she makes demands to change proposal, you might need to give in. Thank you for the advice. We wish you good luck with the party, sir. I think we can end the meeting here. We all shook hands and they left the room. Adding terminalants really helps get the centrist Supreme Court members on board. Well, it's a little too late for that. Also, did my thing get reset? Just sorry, 1 second here. No. Okay, good. I'm a little bright, and I don't know if there's anything I can really do about that. I think it's just like the sun. Maybe I like lower this down a little bit. I really need to get a better webcam. that is very